Dorothy Palmer is suing her former friend, 21-year-old assistant appraiser Elizabeth Stevens, for illegally repossessing her car. Elizabeth says Dorothy had 2 accidents 3 days apart.
All rise. Now, this is case number 488 on the calendar in the matter of Palmer versus Stevens. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Thanks, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge.
Miss Palmer, you and Miss Stevens were very good friends, according to what I read in your complaint. Some time ago, you wanted a car. You have lousy credit for some reason. So you asked Miss Stevens if she would take out a loan for you for the car. She agreed, the understanding that you would be making all the payments on the car. You would be putting down the down payment. You would take care of all the maintenance, etc. And when the car loan was paid off, or you were going to refinance the car in your name at some point, she would give you the title. That was the agreement. According to you, without any good cause, she took the car back, and you won all the money that you invested in the car. Ms. Stevens says that you breached the agreement by not acting responsibly as far as taking care of the car was concerned and making your payments, and you breached the agreement. She had every right to repossess the car.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
When was the car purchased?
I purchased the car in September.
Okay, what kind of a car did you purchase?
It was a 1998 Nissan Altima.
How much did you put down on the car?
$1,100.
And when did you make your first payment?
In October. It was late.
Shh, I didn't get to you yet. When did she repossess the car?
January 1st.
Did you make October's payment on the car?
Yes.
Did you make it later on time?
On time.
What about November?
On
Did you
time.
make November's payment? First,
Yeah.
did you make the payment?
Yes, I did. $300.
What about December's payment? Did you make December's payment?
Yes, $300.
Do you have any proof that you made December's payment?
Yeah, I have a witness that wrote out the check. It was my sister. She would write checks for me.
Just a second, where are the checks? You should have the checks for October, November, and December. Where are they?
The place that I was making the payments to.
When you come to court, Ms. Palmer, what you're supposed to do is bring evidence. What kind of evidence did you bring with you today?
This is the insurance. When we got insurance for
I'm
the
not
vehicle,
talking about insurance. Is that the only piece of paper that you brought with you today?
Yeah, and I have my witness that...
Listen to me. Your sister wrote out the checks? Was it on your bank that she wrote out the checks, or on her bank?
Her bank.
Excuse me?
Her bank.
Then what you do is you say to your sister, do me a favor, call your bank and get copies of the checks that I wrote out for October, November, December, that you wrote out, so that I can bring those to court, because I have a court case. I can't just go there with my smile and my pretty red top. I have to have evidence. Do you understand?
That's right. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Well, can you tell me why you didn't?
We did, and they would have to go back 3 months in time. The bank couldn't provide her with a statement.
Step up here, please. You get bank statements every month from your bank.
Yes.
In November, you would have gotten a statement showing a check made out to something Toyota in the amount of whatever the car payment was. You would have had that on your statement.
Yes.
Then you would have gotten another one in December. And the one in December would have showed a check in November. What date it was made out, what date it was cashed. Right?
Yes.
You don't have to go back and get anything. Then in January, you would have gotten the statement from your bank for December, which would have showed when the check was written out, when the check was cashed for...
Which was late.
Why didn't you bring it?
Well, at the time, I don't keep my statements, and I didn't think I had a reason.
What do you do with them?
I look at them and throw them away.
I don't believe you when you say that you look at the statements and throw them away, because that would be really stupid. Are you a really stupid person?
No,
Then you don't just look at your statements and throw them away. You put them in a drawer, because I'm sure that's what your parents, who are probably responsible people, have told you to do. You have to keep your paperwork for at least a year. And if you don't have them, and if you read them and throw them away, then you call the bank and say, I threw away my statements, I need a copy. Do you understand?
Yes.
So then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, Miss Palmer. Miss Stevens is going to tell me that your payments were late.
Okay.
In October and December. And because you have it within your control to have provided me with proof that they were not late, I want you to follow this, because this is a rule of law. Because you have the proof to show me that your payments were made on time, and you chose not to bring that proof, and you had that proof within your control, I am going to find that you were late in your payments for October and December, because that's what Miss Stevens is going to tell me. Isn't that right, Miss Stevens?
That's right.
Okay. Do you understand that rule of law? Very simple. It says that when a party has within their possession or control evidence, and they choose not to produce that evidence, the court may infer negatively against them. And I choose to do that. I choose to infer that you made those payments late, in breach of your contract, to make your payments in a timely fashion. Okay? Now,
Okay.
that is why you took the car back.
No, actually, that's not even close to the reason. I mean,
Well, that's what you're saying here. You're
right.
saying here she was late in her payments and she had 2 accidents.
Yeah, 2 accidents 3 days apart in 1 month. And that was the second day she had, or the second month she had the car.
Just listen. You say here that she didn't make her payments on time,
right.
and
One
she
of the-
had 2 accidents.
Right. Right. The first.
Did you have 2 accidents?
Yes, I did.
What was the first accident that you had?
I was driving, leaving a shopping center where we live, and somebody hit me broadside, and I paid to have it fixed.
You didn't report it to your insurance company.
Oh, no. Yeah, I reported it to the insurance company.
And that was her insurance company.
Yeah, we were on the policy together when we purchased the car.
You were on my
She had,
policy.
she had a car. She put this car on her policy.
No, she didn't have a policy. When we purchased the car, she was driving
I purchased
her...
the car.
Shh. You don't want me
Sorry, Your Honor.
to do anything that's going to negatively impact on your case, do you?
No.
Then I suggest you pay attention and not talk out. If you want to talk to her one-on-one, you do it outside. You don't do it in here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Former friend Elizabeth Stevens illegally repossessed her car. Elizabeth says Dorothy was late on payments and had 2 accidents.
Now, when was your next accident?
It was October 31st.
Tell me about it.
I bumped somebody, and it was not reported to
Just a
the
minute. You bumped somebody. When
I
you mean
reared-
bump somebody, you hit somebody in the rear.
rear. Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was not reported. That was not on the insurance because there was no damages.
Well, how did she know about it?
I told her.
Okay, now I'm looking at you. Let's talk about the second accident. What happened with regard to the second accident?
Well, I wasn't informed about any of them at all.
How did you know about the second accident?
Because the mail comes to my house because everything is under my name.
Was it reported to the insurance company?
Yes, it was. One of them was.
I'm not talking about one of them. I'm talking about the second one. She said the second one was not reported.
Yeah, it was reported.
You have evidence of that?
Yeah, I sure do.
Let me see it.
This actually involves 2 of the accidents. Here's a police report of Halloween, October 31st. And I had to pay for that report, but...
Okay. The first accident that you had was determined to be your fault by the police. And it says here, after they did an investigation, the cause was determined to be an unsafe lane change on the part of driver 2. Now, the second one was clearly your fault because you hit somebody in the rear.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you took the car back. You have the car now?
Yes, I do, and I have proof of insurance I brought too.
You have the car now. So you have the car after 3 months.
Yeah.
She paid, eventually, albeit late, 3 car payments. Is that right?
Yes.
And what is the amount of each car payment?
It is $294.83.
And what was the total amount of the loan?
It was like $11,000.
Is that right, Miss Palmer?
Yes.
And this is a 1998?
Nissan Altima GLE 4-door.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Our verbal agreement in front of the car salesman was that in 6 months to a year, I would get my credit back up to par, and I would then refinance the car and put it in my name. That was our verbal agreement. She informed me that she was moving to Georgia on the 7th of January. She said that she had canceled the insurance because she wanted me to put the car in my name before she went to Georgia. I said, Liz, our verbal agreement was that in 6 to 8 months from now, or a year, I would refinance the car. If she was nervous about me making the payments, if she was nervous about me getting in an accident, she would have repossessed the car from me back in October when I had gotten into accident.
How can I when you don't
She
answer your
wouldn't
phone?
wait till
Miss Stevens,
January 1st.
I don't want to hear you do that again.
She informed me that her car had been repossessed 5 days prior to when she came to get my car, Your Honor. She showed up at my boyfriend's house on January 1st demanding the car with a sheriff. I had no choice but to hand over the keys and get my things. I had neglected to take out of my ashtray a gift certificate that my mother had gotten me to Java Joe's coffee shop and $50 that I had. I said, Liz, I need to get my gift certificate that my mother gave me, and I need to get my money. She says, well, I came across a gift certificate, but I don't know what you're talking about, the money. I said, Liz, don't be malicious with me. I know for a fact that that money was in there. She said, you know what, Dorothy,
Ms.
that's
Stevens,
your word against
Ms.
mine.
Stevens, I want to know how many accidents you've had in a vehicle. How many accidents?
None. I've never had an accident or ticket.
Ms. Palmer, let me explain something to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because of your negligent driving, anytime Ms. Stevens attempts to get insurance, she is going to have to pay a premium because she was the owner of a policy, along with you, on a car on which there were 2 accidents, both of which were determined to be your fault. I'm speaking. Say nothing. That's going to cost her, over the course of her lifetime, far more than the $1,100 that you put down on this car because of your negligent driving. If you say that your verbal agreement was that within 6 months the car would be put in your name and therefore she'd be off the hook, well, that's fine. As long as you did everything in that 6-month window properly, which meant that you drove safely so that you didn't endanger her long-term credit, and number 2, that you paid this loan on time so that you didn't, over the long term, impact on her credit. You did neither. Your case is dismissed.
No, Your
That's
Honor.
all.
Audience are excused. You may step out.
She's driving away with a car that I worked for that she lied to get.
I actually told her that she would get the car back if she'd get a co-signer.
It's like, you can lie and you can do things.
Nobody will sign for her. It's obvious why.
Karma and God, whatever you want to call it.
My opinion is that she had so many chances to get the car back.
It's like, you will get yours. You will get yours.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Blackhawk Transportation versus Sanders. Step forward, please.
Limo company owner Jeff Cleland is suing his former employee, construction worker Melvin Sanders, for damages caused when he abandoned his limousine. Melvin says he was fed up with the job.
Your complaint is an interesting one. Mr. Sanders was a driver for you, and according to your complaint, he had 2 jobs to do in one day. He did one job, he did not do the next one, and he abandoned the car, the limousine, which you picked up. You say he did that because of his involvement with drugs. At least that's what you assume.
Yes.
Mr. Sanders' defense is an interesting one. He acknowledges that he dumped the job, correct?
Yes.
And he acknowledges that he dumped the limousine, correct?
Dumping is not the correct phrase.
Well, you just left it.
Yes.
And I would like you to tell me what your defense is to this action, because the plaintiff says that because of your dereliction, it cost him a lot of money. He had to subcontract out the job, he had to go and look for the limousine, all costing him several $100s, which is what he's suing for. So tell me what your defense is.
Well, there is no defense. I did leave the vehicle. I did not do the second job. At one point, I decided I didn't want to work anymore, and I didn't. He was informed that I called my fiancée. She called them, and she informed them where the car was. And
Mr. Sanders, what you said in your answer I found more interesting than what you're telling me now, because you just, you did it. What you said is that it's really his fault because they need, according to you, and I quote, they need to take some responsibility for hiring me in the first place. After all, they did no background check, and unfortunately, my addiction makes me do things a little irrationally sometimes.
yes, it does.
They have to take responsibility for your actions because they failed to do an appropriate background check. That's what you said in your answer.
Yes.
What would a background check of you have revealed, sir? Have you been arrested?
Yes.
For what?
For attempted murder.
Anything other than attempted murder?
A few other charges.
Have you ever been arrested for drugs?
Actually, no.
Well, what are the other charges that you've been arrested for, and how recently, Mr. Saunders?
Actually, that
If they had done a background check.
was in '85. The only
the
thing they
most-
would have found out is that I was on parole.
Parole
And
for
that
attempted
I
murder.
am an addict.
How would they have found out that you're an addict?
It would have been in my record.
As a result of the prints?
Yes.
Okay. And are you on lifetime parole?
No.
How long is your parole?
No, it's only 3 years.
How long were you incarcerated?
For 7.
When were you released from prison?
Well, the first time in '92, the second time in 2001.
So a background check would have revealed...
It would have revealed that I was on parole right now.
A background check would have revealed, so not only were you on parole, but you would have had a work history that was lacking 7 years at one point, and then another couple of years at another point. Is that right?
Yes.
What kind of background checks do you do, sir?
We do DMV background checks. We do drug testing.
What kind of drug testing do you do?
They test for all of the known things.
When did you test Mr. Saunders?
He was a new hire, and I was going on vacation, and he was scheduled to do the drug screen.
When was
I
he a
came
new
back.
hire? What date?
August 21st was the date he put on his application that he can start, and I believe it was a week later that he started.
The end of August. Is that right? Is that when you started, sir? And when did you decide you had enough of this job? On what date?
Basically, on
September 30th,
on
according to
September
your
30th.
answer. So a month later. So you telling me, Mr. Cleland, that a month went by before you had drug tested the defendant. He was never drug tested.
He was never drug tested.
Mr. Cleland, I think that your complaint is an interesting one. I, as a member of the public, are far more concerned with your actions than the defendant's, quite frankly, sir. Because as a member of the consuming public, if we call your company and need a car, take us someplace, we are hoping that you do everything that's responsible with regard to ensuring that the driver of those cars is an appropriate driver.
Correct.
And you haven't done that. The truth of the matter is, if you tested Mr. Saunders, the drugs, you may have come up with information that suggested to you that he was an inappropriate driver. Certainly his conduct on the 30th of September, by not doing the second job and by just abandoning the car, which is what he did, suggests to me that he was acting irrationally. And if he's acting irrationally, and if he has a history of drug abuse, one would surmise by making this giant leap to the fact that maybe he was abusing again. Now, you're just lucky that the first passenger that he drove wasn't a victim of that poor judgment, because he did make one run for you. So, quite frankly, Mr. Cleland, before things get any more sticky, I suggest you pack up your papers and consider yourself lucky that he didn't cause any more damage than just the $300 you're suing for, because your company didn't do the right thing. The company did not do the right thing by not taking appropriate steps to ensure that the drivers that you send out with your cars are appropriate drivers. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There was a white substance, a powdery substance, on the seat,
I don't know what the white powder substance that he found. I'm like him, I don't know what it is.
and all over the dash.
That would imply that I snort cocaine, and I don't.
Nobody gets hired now without the drug screening.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Camper versus Kilgore. Step forward, please.
27-year-old accountant Amy Camper is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old customer service rep Justin Kilgore, for wrecking her Sea-Doo.
Ms. Camper, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours, and you claim that last summer he was riding your Sea-Doo, which is one of those water things that you drive and everybody drives too fast. And he had an accident and he caused some damage. You want him to pay for the damage. Mr. Kilgore says that he was riding the Sea-Doo. There was an accident. It was Stevie's fault, not his fault. Stevie ran into him. And aside from that, you should have had insurance, because you let everybody drive your Sea-Doo, and you shouldn't have let him nor anyone else drive it unless you had appropriate insurance. That's your defense.
Correct.
So there was an accident.
Yes.
What was the date?
October 26th
And where were you riding the Sea-Doo?
on the Colorado River up by Parker, Arizona.
This wouldn't happen to be Stevie, would it? You're Stevie.
Yeah.
Step up here. Did you run into this jet ski?
Yes, I did.
Why did you do that?
I didn't do it on purpose.
Well, tell me about
We
it.
were riding on the Colorado River. I rear-ended him.
You rear-ended him.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Stevie rear-ended him.
Justin turned in front of Stevie. Stevie hit Justin's wake and landed on top of my Sea-Doo.
Okay. So, Stevie, this accident was your fault.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, whose fault was it?
It's, you play at your own risk out there.
No.
It's,
Listen to me. Can't have it both ways. Miss Camper, she's on land. The two of you are out there tooling around.